Neville Goddard was right. This man, teaching in the 1940s and 1950s, understood something about reality and human potential that most people still don't get till this day. He said something that sounds absolutely insane. You are God in human form, and your imagination is creating your reality. But here's the thing. That sounds crazy, but modern quantum physics, neuroscience, and psychology are starting to validate what this mystic teacher knew decades ago. And unfortunately, most people are living their lives as victims of their own circumstances. They're a prisoner in a prison of their own making. They think that reality is something that happens to them, not something that they are actively creating. They believe they have to accept whatever life gives them, the job or business they hate, the relationships that drain them, the financial struggles that don't end, and health issues just being an inevitable part of life. But honestly, that's not true. What if I told you that's actually completely backwards? What if your external world is simply just a mirror reflecting back to you your internal assumptions and beliefs? And then furthermore, what if changing those internal assumptions and beliefs could literally reshape your entire reality? And today I'll share with you exactly what Neville Goddard taught so you can do just that. Because this stuff is powerful. I made a video, which should be on my channel by the time this one's up, where I interviewed a man who beat cancer using his mind. So if that guy could do that, then using what Neville taught and what I'm going to share with you today, you can do some pretty cool shit as well. Hey family, welcome back. Or if you're new here, I'm Chris. I made my first million in business by the time I was 25, and now I'm documenting my journey and what it actually takes to build $1 million per year life and business, doing what you love. On this channel, I share what's helped hundreds of other people as well as myself win in life and work. Things like subconscious mind, identity shifting, productivity, manifestation, and of course, stacking more paper, baby. So if you're ready to stop playing small and start winning at the level you know you're capable of, be sure to subscribe. So to kick today's video off, I first want to talk about who was Neville Goddard. So Neville Lancelot Goddard was born in Barbados in 1905, and he later became one of the most influential mystical teachers of the 20th century. But here's what made him super different than most spiritual teachers. He didn't just teach theory or just kind of say unique ideas. He taught a practical method that people could test and verify for themselves. His whole conviction was this: don't believe me. Why don't you test what I'm teaching, and if it doesn't work, then you're welcome to reject it. And I really fuck with that because that's how I feel I teach if you've been watching my videos for a while. And Neville's core teaching was revolutionary. His core teaching was imagination creates reality. Not just positive or wishful thinking, but disciplined, focused imagination used in a specific way. Or, unfortunately, in a dangerous way, which is how most people use their imagination. And therefore, what do they get? A lot of negative shit in their life. So Neville taught that consciousness is the only reality, and that what we call the physical world around us is just something called consciousness objectified. Now, this might sound out there, but think about it. Modern science and current schools of thought talk all the time about the same thing. They just call it a different name. Instead of calling it consciousness, they just call it matter or energy. But it's the same thing. It's the formless substance that makes up all things in reality. But what really set Neville apart is that he didn't teach manifestation as some mystical process where you kind of just like hope and cross your fingers that something will change. He taught it like it's a law, as predictable and reliable as gravity. So let's talk about Neville's core teaching, which is assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So Neville's core teaching, assumption, if persisted in, even if it's false, will harden into fact. So what does that mean? Well, let me make it super simple for you. It means that whatever you assume to be true about yourself and your life, even if it's currently false or it's false in general, will become your reality if you persist in that assumption. Not because of magic, but because your assumptions control your perceptions, so how you see reality, your behavior, how you act, your decisions, the things you do, and ultimately your results. And even deeper than that, your subconscious mind is the bridge between you and infinite intelligence, which depending on who you ask, they might call it God, Allah, Source, Spirit, the universe. It's all the same thing in reality. And Joseph Murphy said it perfectly in his book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. He said, the great secret possessed by the great people of all ages was their ability to contact and release the powers of their subconscious mind. You can do the same. So I want to just, share an example from my own life. When I first started my business, so here's me, brand new business owner, I had very little money, no experience in that business, and not a whole lot of connections. But what I did is I assumed that I was already a successful entrepreneur making multiple six figures. In fact, if you followed me around back then, and even now, you would probably think I was a little bit crazy. I totally am. I'm a delusional fucker. I am so convicted, obsessed, and stubborn. I would put pictures on my wall. In fact, I still have pictures on my wall, and had total unbreakable optimism. But even more than that, it wasn't my optimism. I literally knew I was already the successful entrepreneur. I didn't wait to feel successful. I didn't wait to have money or for other people to tell me, oh, look, Chris, you're successful. I didn't even wait to feel successful. Like I say, I assumed I already was successful, and then I acted from that assumption. I literally dressed like a successful entrepreneur, whatever I felt like that was at the time, which is totally subjective. But at the time I dressed up, I spoke like someone who had already made it. I made decisions from this successful entrepreneur identity. I invested in myself like someone who knew they were valuable and had the assumption that whatever I invested in was going to work for me. And then guess what happened? That very assumption of me being a quote unquote successful entrepreneur we're talking quickly, hardened into fact. My first 12 months self-employed at age 20, I made over $100,000 in a brand new business with no prior experience in that industry, $100,000. And then a few short years after that, so again, my first year, 100,000 plus a year. Few short years after that, I made $91,344 in a single month. So with that story out of the way, you're probably wondering, how does this work? Like, can you be more specific? So I really want to talk about this and make it so simple for you that you can go on to not only experience the magic of Neville's teachings, but get cool ass results like I did. So here's how this works. Your assumption becomes your identity. So your assumptions or your assumption becomes your identity. Your identity determines your behavior creates your results, and then your results reinforce the original assumptions that you made. It's a self-perpetuating cycle that most people are stuck in because they have negative assumptions. So I'm just going to draw this out for you really quick. So first things first, you have someone who says they have a belief or an assumption. I'm not good with money. So you're probably wondering, what happens after that? Well, as we talked about, your assumption becomes your reality. So they believe or they assume I'm not good with money. So they see themselves as a person who's not good with money, which means that they make poor financial decisions. We're going to cross out that money sign. And after making those poor financial decisions, now they struggle with money. So now they're unhappy. They still don't have money, which then reinforces the belief that they originally had, or the assumption they originally had, I'm not good with money. But you don't have to get stuck in these cycles. In fact, you can flip it for your own gain by changing your fundamental assumptions. And there's this incredibly powerful technique by Neville Goddard I'm going to teach you to help you change your assumptions on the deepest level. And that technique, let me just set this down. And that technique is called SATS. S-A-T-S. It's an acronym. And Neville taught this specific acronym or technique for implanting new assumptions into your subconscious mind. So SATS stands for state akin to sleep. So here's how state akin to sleep works. Your first step is you want to get into a drowsy state. So think about it. Right before you fall asleep or right after you wake up is when your conscious mind is less active and your subconscious mind is more open and receptive. So in that drowsy state, that's when this works. That's step one. Step two, you want to create some form of scene that implies your desired reality or desire being fulfilled. Don't visualize the process of getting what you want necessarily, but more, Neville teaches, of already having it. So visualize something that would indicate you already have the thing or the reality you want. So if you want financial abundance, don't visualize working hard to make money. Visualize checking your bank account and then seeing the balance you desire and feeling the feelings you would have with that money. If you want to create a loving relationship, don't visualize going on dates to meet somebody. Visualize being in the relationship. Maybe you're sitting on the couch with that person. You're like about to watch a Netflix show and you're just like, oh, I feel so loved and appreciated right now. That's how that works. And then step three, make it as sensory rich as possible. So see what you would see, hear what you would hear, feel what you would feel, And the more real that you can make it in your imagination, the more powerfully it impresses that seed into, which I'll just use a cloud to represent, your subconscious mind. And then step 4, I already kind of talked about the feeling, got ahead of myself. Step 4 is to feel the satisfaction of the wish fulfilled. And this is crucial. You must feel the emotion of already having what you desire, because here's why. So let this cloud represent your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind thinks in pictures and it speaks in emotions. So using this state akin to sleep process, we're not only opening up the subconscious mind by being in a drowsy state while it's most receptive, but then we're communicating in its language. It thinks in pictures, so we're implanting pictures into the subconscious mind, and it speaks in emotions. We're also feeling the feelings of our assumption being fulfilled, or as Neville calls it, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, which is literally the best way to imprint and change or reprogram your subconscious mind, which goes back to what we originally talked about, to change your assumption. Your assumption is really your subconscious program. That's an easy way to look at it. It's your beliefs about yourself and about the world. And we're trying to change those by using state akin to sleep. Hope that makes sense. And then the last step, step 5, I got a little ahead of myself. Once you do this state akin to sleep process, you're either going to fall asleep or begin your day in that state. So you want to let that be the last thing that you do, or last thing on your mind before you drift off to sleep, or the first thing you do when you wake up, because your subconscious mind is most impressionable during that time. And we want to make sure that we end the day or begin the day in that state so it has the most powerful effect on us moving forward. And by the way, I've got something awesome for you. I just released the free money magnet meditations, which use this powerful SATS technique here that Neville taught, as well as something called heterosuggestion, which means someone else making suggestions into your subconscious mind. And it's a morning and night guided meditation to essentially brainwash you to becoming a magnet to money. It's fucking awesome. Think about it. Making more money, receiving more money, managing and multiplying your money, even better. I've made this meditation to make those things super easy for you. And literally 24 hours after using it, I received almost $800. That shit works. So if you want to get those badass meditations, as well as dive deeper into identity shifting and manifestation, you can check out the links in the description. You can check out my free course and community for identity shifting and manifestation there, which is where the meditations are. Or consider working with me. I'll help you to end self-sabotage and step into your high income, $20,000 to $100,000 a month identity. Learn more about those in the description so you can apply what you're learning here today in the easiest way possible. So now that we've talked about state akin to sleep, I'm going to erase this. We're going to talk about the connection that this has to something called identity shifting. So in my experience, studying Neville Goddard, Bob Proctor, Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill, I'm talking all the greats, there's one particular technique that I've found that combines all of their best teachings into one, and that is identity shifting. So I'm going to explain to you how Neville's teachings about the assumption, like we talked about, assumption is your predominant belief or conviction about yourself and the world. But the world is just a mirror of you. So when you shift your identity, you're changing the deepest and most powerful assumptions you have, which then not only affect you and the way you show up and feel about yourself, but of course the results that you get in your life. Using identity shifting, I've done incredible shit like we talked about, made almost $100,000 in a single month, and have realized some of my biggest dreams in a short period of time, such as running retreats, moving across the country, doing what I love for a living. It's pretty badass. I want to explain how this all ties together now. Your identity, so I'm going to draw just a little stick figure. It's my favorite thing to draw. Your identity, so let me just draw a mirror here to represent that. Identity is also known as self-image. This is just a collection, a big collection of assumptions. So your identity is just a big collection of assumptions about yourself, as I said. And those assumptions could be something positive like, I am successful, I am abundant, I am confident, I am healthy, I am loved, or the opposite of those things, which nobody wants, and those things will show in your reality and your results. These aren't just affirmations, so to speak, although saying them technically is. These are the assumptions that if and when truly believed in and embodied will create your desired reality. But here's the key. You have to assume this new identity before you see the evidence. And the problem is that most people, they say, I'm only this person when I see the money that this person would have, or the happiness, or let's say the relationships, right? Let's just draw a few people over here. They wait to see the results before they make the assumption about who they are, but that's actually backwards. Waiting for evidence or the world to tell you who you are is a fool's errand. According to Neville, you must believe first or assume first, and then the evidence will follow. So let's talk about this in action. Instead of saying, well, I will be successful when I make more money, you would assume I am successful now, and therefore, of course, I will always make more money. And then you act from that assumption. Instead of, oh, I'll be confident when I lose some weight, you assume, look, I am a confident human being now, and therefore, my body will reflect that or is reflecting that to me in perfect health and aesthetics. And then embody that confidence. Start acting as that person. Assume you are, and you will become. And I don't want to confuse this with that idea of fake it till you make it, although that's kind of a fun saying. This is recognizing that your current identity is also just another assumption. And in fact, the most powerful one of all. So you might as well assume a better one. Example, your identity. So this picture of yourself in your mind is like a superhero's costume. So imagine if you're just like a regular, ordinary person in a Marvel movie, walking along, and all of a sudden you found Iron Man's armor. Would you be insanely more powerful and capable immediately if you put that armor on? Of course you would be. And your identity, in a fun roundabout way, is the same. Depending on which costume or superhero's armor or identity that you choose to put on, it will either benefit you greatly or limit you a lot. You can wear the costume, so to speak, the superhero costume or whatever, of a miserable, self-conscious brokey, or you can wear the costume of a happy, confident, and abundant badass. It's completely up to you. And what's wild, more than anything, is that modern science is catching up to what Neville Goddard taught 70 plus years ago, and even what they teach in the Bible, the Quran, all these different ancient texts or ideas that mystics and, great minds alike loved. Neuroscience literally shows that your brain rewires itself based on mental rehearsal, which the state akin to sleep process we talked about is a form of mental rehearsal. And the mechanism your brain goes through to rewire itself is called neuroplasticity, which is where your brain creates the same neural pathways as if the thing were actually happening for real. Because your brain and your mind cannot tell the difference between something you imagine and something that is happening for real. And then psychology tells us your beliefs and assumptions act as filters for what you notice and how you interpret events in the world. You've probably heard of the reticular activating system, which is like, oh, if you want to get a blue Mustang, all of a sudden you'll start seeing blue Mustangs everywhere. So your brain uses your reticular activating system to filter reality, what you see, based on your predominant thoughts and beliefs, aka your assumptions. Sorry, I keep thinking that I still have that written there. I don't. So if you assume that you're unlucky, you'll notice all the bad shit and all the things that are happening that are not good, and you'll ignore the rest. But if you assume you're blessed, like that God, the universe just hooks you up and favors you, you'll notice opportunities, synchronicities, and abundance everywhere. And then let's go deeper. Quantum physics suggests that consciousness, as Neville talked about, plays a fundamental role in creating physical reality. The CIA has a whole series of documents on this, but something called the observer effect shows that just the act of observation can literally change what is being observed. To make this simple, your reality, I love drawing this little mirror principle, your reality, so the things that you see, draw him over here again, reality is just you seeing yourself in the mirror. It's a reflection of you, as within, so without. So everything that you are seeing outside of you, as Neville taught, is just consciousness objectified. It's a collection of everybody's consciousness playing out on this so-called hologram or matrix that we live in. And you can use that to your advantage to create your reality, to shift your identity, master your reality, and therefore have whatever you want in life because of your assumption that you do. And I want to talk about the biggest problem. The biggest problem, and the reason that most people don't get results with this stuff, is simple. They try it once, or they try it twice, and they don't immediately see results, and so they give up. But Neville was very clear. An assumption must be persisted in until it is hardened into fact. It's not enough to just visualize for a day or 2 days and expect your life to transform. Don't get me wrong, it's going to do something, but you have to persist in your new assumptions despite contrary evidence in reality around you that point you to your old assumptions. Don't let your current circumstances and results dictate how you think, feel, and imagine in your mind, or else you will get more of the same. You have to live in advance from the end result, not from your current situation. And again, that's why I created those badass money magnet meditations that are totally free, by the way, and a bunch of other resources you can grab in the description. Because the spiritual gangsters, so to speak, of this world, they don't wait for reality to give them permission to have what they want. They give it to themselves internally first using their assumption and their imagination, and then reality will give it to them because they already have it. Badass. And I want to wrap this up. Neville Goddard understood something that most people still don't get. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your circumstances through your assumptions and your imagination. And your current reality is not permanent. It is just the result, as I said, of past assumptions that were made manifest. Change your assumptions and you will change everything about your life. But the secret is you have to persist in them. And as you do, you will watch reality reshape itself. Again, the hologram will reflect something back to you around your new assumption. This is not wishful thinking. It's not just positive psychology. This is understanding how consciousness creates reality. And as Neville said, you already are that which you want to be. And your refusal to believe it is the only reason you do not see it. Boom, that's a mic drop. So as I mentioned earlier, design in great detail your new identity, this new costume you're going to wear, and the set of assumptions that come with it. And then assume you are that person and begin acting as if you are. Don't wait for reality or other people to give you permission to be this new version of yourself. Be it, assume you are it, and you'll watch heaven and earth move in front of your eyes to match that. Be sure to comment your takeaways and subscribe if you found this video valuable. Join my free community and course for identity shifting and manifestation in the description. Or if you're an entrepreneur, salesperson, or a creator, you can work with me. I'll help you to end self-sabotage and step into your high income, $20,000 to $100,000 a month identity as soon as possible. Links are in the description. I love you guys. Test this for yourself. Again, don't take my word for it. Go try some cool shit. It works. It's working in real time in my life. I can't wait for it to work in yours. Give those meditations a try. Those have been a game changer for me and my clients. Again, they're free. All right, family, much love. I'll talk to you in the next one.